Let me tell you about the SAP Business Network for Assets using some AI images I created on the topic. For many people, an asset is more something of a financial means that you have assets and they represent ownership. But in the industrial world, an asset is a big machine, typically worth a lot of money, that you use to create or support what you're selling or what you're making. It can take many forms. In here, that could be part of a transformer for a hydroelectric dam. It could take also, it could be a wind turbine offshore. The wind turbine itself is an asset. In here, this image is more of a part of a turbine that could also be an asset. It all depends how you see it. Mr. Musk might have or see this as assets, his satellite in space for the Starlink. Each one of them have to be maintained, at least remotely, but you need this. Those are assets as well. It can be a chemical processing machinery that you purchase to transform some raw materials into the smell of chocolate. Or it could be here, this will be our example for today, another machine that makes, let's say, nano processing or something very high tech. Now, you own this company, you make money with those nanotubes, so it's important that this machine runs all the time. Maybe every 6 months you need to stop it to do some maintenance. It's part of the deal. But what you really don't like is when it stops because something is broken or not working. You need to have this working all the time. But it's not just turning it on or off. You might have principle of restricting access to this room. And maybe you have, 25 of those machines across different countries, and you need to know who can go where. So you have access control. You might also want to manage the documentation. I mean, if you purchase a chair online and you have to assemble it, you already have instruction. Imagine the instruction for a machine like this, but you want to also track the history, the maintenance, the repairs, everything, all the documentation and the paperwork around this needs to be known and foundable. You also have safety concerns. Can this overheat? Is there dangerous chemicals? What to do if there is a fire? What's the protocol? And maybe the teams that are going to come into this room to work on this needs to be trained on those safety issues. Do you have the latest version? The manufacturer that made this sends you maybe upgrades and updates. Do you agree to deploy them? Is there impacts? Do you need more information about it? And if it does break, is there a warranty? Where is that warranty? Oh, we need to send a work order to a technician to come from outside another company and help us. And on this work order, you will have all the information of what needs to be done and maybe give them access to spare parts because, yes, you have a room for spare parts to make sure that it can be repaired as quickly as possible. And finally, here, if we see the operator, this is the owner of the company, the employee that will do this. You could give that person an iPad with digital means of tracking this device remotely. Maybe if it works fully automated, that person can do it, in an office or somewhere and only come in if there is something needing attention. And you have sensors, and this is what we call a digital replica or a digital twin, to get all the information in the form of an electronic form, actually, that you can manage. So all of this is all cool, and this is called asset management. And then you have system to do this. But what about the network piece? Well, we've said that this person is the operator of the machine, the owner, let's say, of the company or working for the owner. But the manufacturer sometimes comes in for those upgrades. And the manufacturer will also need information about the access, the manuals and all that, but will also maybe have new versions of the digital data that they've made. They want to give it to you, so they collaborate. And maybe that technician that needs to come from another third company to do the work, this work order story, they want to know where's the spare part, how many, and do you have enough? And they also need access to the information. If they climb into the machine, you don't want them to climb down and look for a manual and go back up. You want to give them this iPad also. So the information across everything around this asset should be shareable. And that's the basic principle around the business network for asset, to make it collaborative, always under the governance of the operator. They decide who gets to see what, but then make it flexible so they can get data from others and give data and give access and collaborate to make sure it runs all the time.